Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy BB27 here, and welcome to the June 2024 SML recap. So it actually feels like it's been a while since I did a recap. Usually these are a lot faster, but June has just been a pretty long month. I mean, it's over now, but it was a pretty long month for what it was. And for SML, it was actually an improvement, at least from what I'm remembering. This month was kind of hazy for me because a lot of these videos were coming out while I was sick and dying, so, you know, but from what I remember, most of June was actually a big step up from like April and May. Starting off the month, we're just gonna hop right into it with the Brooklyn guys clones. This video was really good. It was really funny. I mean, yeah, it's a Brooklyn guy video, and as you guys know, I've been kind of tired of him recently, but this one worked because it was a bit of a unique concept, having, you know, a bunch of clones of him, and one of them's really stupid, and they just go out and cause chaos and, you know, mess up his whole life. Like, I just love that concept, and I think they do a very good job with it in this video. It's not perfect, but it's a pretty good way to start the month, and considering it's a Brooklyn guy, it's definitely a lot better. Considering it's a Brooklyn guy video, it's a lot better than I expected it to be. I really thought it was just going to be him, you know, kind of complaining and just taking up the whole video. And sure, he takes up the whole video, but, like, he does it in a funny way, and his clones really, really help. So, yeah, overall, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So, moving on, yeah. Alright, so now we have Junior's Sports Drink. This is one I actually reviewed. I reviewed a handful of June videos, so I'll mention those when we get to them. This one wasn't anything too special. I mean, it's just another classic, you know, Junior trying to, you know, scam people to get money. I mean, that's kind of all Junior videos now anyways. I mean, sometimes they do something different, but they don't usually do something different with Junior and friends anymore. It's usually just him trying to scam somebody. So he comes up with, like, a new invention. Well, not a new invention. He basically just grabs a water bottle and calls it, you know, Water 2.0. And then that's kind of the entire plot. And they end up, like, killing an athlete, and it's kind of drags on. It's not a bad video. Like, it's definitely goofy, it's funny, but I just remember it being a little bit boring. Like, the athlete does add a little bit of, you know, humor to it. I think Lance did a good job. But the whole Junior just being really stupid and, you know, trying to sell water, it just kind of gets old after a while. It's not a terrible video, but I wouldn't say it's as good as the last video. I think we're gonna go 7 out of 10. I forgot what I gave it in the review, but just looking back at it, yeah, I'll say 7. Maybe that's a bit too high for this video, but it wasn't bad. It's just, you know, not the best. So, moving on. So now we have Jeffy the Spy. This video kinda sucked. I mean, honestly, it just wasn't very good. It's definitely one of the worst of June. It's just like, I don't know, the idea's kind of all over the place with this video. They want Jeffy to just do, you know, he just kind of does random shit, right? But then, oh, it's like these guys over here, Jeffy, like, acting Chinese or something, or whatever. Yeah, he's like, I think he's acting Chinese. And then they come over, and then they take Marvin and Jeffy into, like, interrogation, and they interrogate him, and they ask him all these questions, and then it kind of just goes back and forth. Like, eventually Marvin tries to, like, convince them that he isn't, like, you know, a Chinese spy or Russian spy or something like that. I low-key kind of forgot. It's been a while, but it's just, like, it's dumb. The whole video is just really, really dumb. Like, I know it's kind of funny, I guess, with the way Jeffy's acting, but Jeffy doesn't really seem to care what's going on at all. Like, they're just getting interrogated, and all this shit's going on with Marvin, and Marvin's the only one actually trying to do anything about it, and Jeffy's just making it worse by acting, you know, as a stereotype. And he makes these guys believe that he's a spy even more as the video goes on. And eventually it all leads up to, like, a Putin scene, or it's like Pablo as Putin, and it's like they're at a dinner, and it's like eventually he, like, you know, Marvin's able to convince them that Jeffy's not a spy, even though Jeffy's made it really hard up to that point to, you know, get them convinced. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, this video just kind of sucks. It's not very funny, it's boring. It was the first video that came out while I was sick, so I felt like shit watching it, and it was just not memorable. It was just not a good SML video. It's nothing awful, don't get me wrong, but it's just not one I would ever come back to. So I'm gonna go 5 out of 10 on this one. It's mid. Like, it is painfully mid. Moving on. Now we have Junior's Big Playtime 3. This video is definitely a big step up from the last two Big Playtimes, and it's also just a huge step up from the last video. It's definitely the best, like, Playtime reboot episode they've done. It's not, perfect. It's a little bit similar to the first two, but there's more going on. I think the scenes are definitely a lot funnier here. I love the whole thing with, Junior trying to get a job, and he's like the pizza dude, and he ends up, kind of like cheating on his wife, which usually it's always just like Joseph, the wife, cheating on Junior, but this time it's Junior cheats, and then it kind of turns into this whole thing where he's trying to get money for his boss because he's like, he owes him money, and he goes through all this shit to try to get the money. It's just funny. I think the scenes work a lot better here than they usually do, because a lot of the time it's just like big long stretches of just fighting, which I get it, that's kind of like the Playtime charm, but in Big Playtime they just make it worse and it's not as funny. But with this episode, it's way better. Like, there's not as much arguing, there's better scenes in it, and it's just better paced overall. So yeah, it's definitely my favorite episode of the series so far. I just kind of hope they don't keep dragging this on, because again, there's only so much you could do with it. I felt like this one tried to do a little more, but it's still not great, and I just wish they didn't really, feel the need to reboot Playtime, because Playtime was still better than this, honestly. But for what it was, yeah, it was decent. I think I'm gonna go 7 out of 10 on this one. Moving on. Alright, next up we have Junior Goes to Jupiter. This video is actually a banger. It's not perfect though, but it's a banger. This is another one I reviewed. It was my first sick review, which was pretty funny looking back. It was a really, really good video, but I do have some minor flaws with it that kind of dragged it down for me. Basically, it's another Junior and Cody video, which we haven't had one in a really long time. This video is kind of similar to the pantry, or Junior gets a job, where a lot of it's just Junior and Cody focus for once, instead of Joseph really being there or anyone else. And I like that a lot. It's another also Junior trying to go to a planet video, which we've seen maybe a couple of these, I think, so far, or him going to space in some sort of way. This time it actually does kind of work out in a way. So Junior and Cody hop on this planet, or they hop on the rocket to try to go to Jupiter, because of this whole thing with Penelope in the beginning, which is just kind of dumb how it happens, but it makes for a good video. The bulk of the video is spent with, Junior and Cody just in the rocket kind of arguing, but then, the whole Max Keeble's big move joke comes from this video, which did get hammered into the ground, and I don't know if I mentioned it in my review of this video, but that joke was very overdone. And another thing that annoyed me was just how dumb Cody was being. He was literally being warned multiple times by even Joseph that, they're most likely going to get killed if they hop on this rocket, and then he just ignores it and goes with it. Cody would have never done that back then. I know that's a small little flaw, but it just annoyed me a lot, because Cody's a much smarter character than that, and the fact that he just agrees with Junior is okay, whatever, let's just hop on the rocket. It's just kind of dumb. But yeah, anyways, most of the video, really funny. I liked it a lot. I think the Max Keeble's big move stuff was great. I think the endings are hilarious when they get back to their, home planet and all that. And the aliens, again, seeing them was cool. And it's overall just a really good video, but it's just not perfect because it's a little bit too repetitive. So I'm gonna go 8.5 on this. Definitely one of the highest scores I've given a video in a little while. Maybe not in too long, but in a little while. So yeah, one of the better videos of June. Moving on. Alright, now we have Summer School. This is the first episode of the remake, basically, of Bowser Jr. Goes to Summer School. Also kind of the sequel, I guess, to Cody Goes to Preschool or Kindergarten. This is fine. This is actually better than I expected it to be. As you guys may know, I was getting sick of the Cody Goes to Kindergarten series last month. This time though, this episode honestly wasn't that bad. It's just basically them doing presentations of flags that they made, and that's kind of the whole thing. It doesn't really feel like an introduction episode. It feels more of just something that would have happened later on, but it's also not as repetitive as some of the Cody Goes to Kindergarten episodes have been. It's a little bit better. There's more characters in here, Jeffy even is introduced, which I always knew that was going to happen. happen. I knew Jeffy was eventually going to be brought into this series, but it was also just cool seeing other people like Bully and his girlfriend, and characters like that, which were not in Cody Goes to Kindergarten. So it adds a little more variety. I think Junior and Joseph are great here, like they usually have been, and it's a fine start. I don't know how many more of these we're gonna get or how long they're gonna drag this whole thing out, but for a first episode, it's fine. It's basically just Cody Goes to Kindergarten, but with more variety, and it's a little more entertaining. That's about it. It's not perfect. It doesn't hold a candle to Bowser Jr. Goes to Summer School at all, but it's a fine little start, I guess, or continuation of that series. It's okay. So yeah, overall, I think I'm gonna give it like a 7 out of 10. I guess it's being kind of generous, but yeah, it's 7 out of 10 at best. Moving on. Alright, now we have the Father's Day heist. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot this whole video existed until literally, like, just recording right now. Like, this video was really forgettable, and from what I'm remembering, I don't know, it looks more interesting from the thumbnail and, like, the title. Like, it makes it seem like it's gonna be this big, grand video, but then the entire thing is just spent pretty much on the red couch with Marvin and, Brooklyn guy and Goodman coming up with an idea, like a plan to go basically scam Jeffy's real dad and get a bunch of money. So it's kind of just like Marvin trying to get money again, the same old shit. But this time Goodman's actually involved in helping Marvin a little bit, and even Brooklyn guy's there, and he's trying to get some of the money. There's a lot of funny scenes with Goodman. Like, I think Goodman definitely carries it, but there's also a lot of parts of this video where it's just mainly Marvin and Brooklyn guy kind of arguing on the couch and, just trying to come up with the idea, and it doesn't really go anywhere for a while. And eventually, they do enact a plan and it works out. But I'm kind of forgetting, like, I think they don't end up with any of the money, and then Goodman just gets some money and doesn't give it to any Brooklyn guy or Marvin. And I think there's a part at the end that I liked a lot where Marvin's like, oh, I do all this stuff just to not even get any money. I think this is the video where he says that, correct me if I'm wrong, but that part's hilarious because it really does show just how many years of Marvin trying to, get money for whether it's Goodman or like a big scam he's trying to pull off, and he just never does. He never gets money. Like, he goes through all this shit and never gets the money. So yeah, I don't know. It's not a bad video. I think the phone call was funny, but it goes on way longer than it needed to be, and it's honestly just forgettable. It's really forgettable. It's maybe like a 6 out of 10 at best. So it's also kind of one of the worst videos of June, but for like a 6, I mean, that's pretty high. It's not awful, it's just super forgettable. Moving on. Now we have the purple problem, another one I reviewed, and this one's pretty good, honestly. Like, I don't remember this one being too bad. It's mostly a Ronald video, though, again. Like, it starts off making you think there's gonna be this whole big thing with Junior, Cody, and Joseph, but that plot doesn't get revisited until literally the end of the video. And from what I understand, they recorded this after they were done shooting pretty much all of it, because it was originally gonna be mostly just a Ronald video, which it basically is. It gets right into it with Ronald waking up and, calling Steve Staleberger because he sees a commercial about Wendy, bringing the purple shake. I'm not going to recap the whole thing because I already did on this channel. If you guys want to watch the review, you can, but it's just... like, there's too much Ronald arguing with Steve on the phone for this to be anything great. It's just kind of mid. Like, don't get me wrong, it is pretty funny. I like the second half when they're in court, and I do like when they revisit, Junior, Cody, and Joseph's plot. I think that's a great ending. But just the bulk of it being Ronald being angry is just kind of dumb. And, Wendy doesn't really add much here. She's mid. The whole thing's kind of looking back at it. Like, it wasn't a bad video. It's kind of mid. I don't know. I guess overall I'll give it another 6 out of 10. It's really just whatever. We've seen 1,000 Ronald videos, guys. You gotta keep that in mind. We've seen a lot of videos already like this. Like, there's only so much you could do with it, and they really stretch it on in this one. But I do kind of like the idea of him getting mad because she brought a purple shake to her restaurant, because, like, whatever. Like, I get that. It's a funny concept, but it's not a very good video. So, yeah, moving on. So now we have Jeffy's Fast and Furious. This video is the video where Logan quite literally broke his back for. He broke his back while making this video, and now he's basically just been recovering since then. And was the video worth it? Honestly, Not really. I mean, like, it's not a terrible video. I do think it's actually a bit better than the purple problem. You know, it's pretty cool. Kind of the whole idea, the gist of it is that, you know, Jeffy wants to win these races so that Junior and them can go to the party. So, like, kind of the whole plot sucks. I'm not gonna lie. The plot, like, if there wasn't all these cool races in the video, the plot would just be awful. Like, let's say they focused on that plot, right, of Junior trying to act cool for, like, PJ Crenshaw. Like, that would be a terrible video. And that's what it starts off as, is just a dumb plot with PJ Crenshaw, but then it turns into, like, Jeffy doing the races and all the cool race scenes, and that's great, you know. And I think Pablo is acting, you know, he's usually always really good. He's still good here. I think it's like a parody of the Fast and Furious movies, you know, I get that. I never really watched those, so I can't really comment much on that. Like, it's a decent video, but it's really repetitive. They do let me try that again. They do one race, it's cool. They do another one, you know, still pretty cool. It gets a little bit better each time, but it also gets extremely repetitive. It's just like the whole video, guys, is just races. And then eventually it goes back to the ending where they realize, oh, we're dumb. We could have just took, you know, Goodman's car to the party instead of like doing all these extra races and then losing the car. So it's really, really stupid of an ending, and it's just that whole plot of them trying to be cool is just dumb. But don't get me wrong, like, that's not the whole video. The whole video is the races, and I like that. I think it's maybe a 7 at best. That's being really nice, because, like, it's not much of a video. There's not much of a plot, and what there is kind of sucks. But I think all the cool race scenes and the acting makes up for it a lot. There is a lot of cool moments in this video, and some funny moments. There's some good jokes in here as well. It's not all bad. So yeah, oh yes, they bring back Dougie randomly, which, what the fuck? Just get rid of Dougie. I mean, the character's dead, dude. Nobody gives a shit about Dougie. Like, he's just, I don't know. That could be its own separate video, honestly. Maybe I will make a video on Dougie someday. But yeah, moving on. So now we have Jeffy breaks Marvin's back. This is the next video, and I already predicted, you know, when this came out, I like right before it came out, I was like, oh yeah, the next video is going to be something about Logan breaking his back. Like, there's no way they're going to not, you know, make a joke or a reference to it. And they literally make a whole video about it, basically. So Marvin, you know, breaks his back. Basically, Jeffy causes this to happen because he's mad at him, because Marvin tells him, oh, you can't go swimming or whatever, right? So then they kind of just, I spend the video, like, okay, it's the first half of it's like, you know, Jeffy trying to figure out a way to break his dad's back. Then he does, and then it just turns into a big Brooklyn guy shit fest where he's just going on and on and on, and he gives him medicine, and he keeps taking, like, these dick pills, and it's like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, I like the Marvin stuff in the later half, like, it's okay. But then Jeffy doesn't want him to break his back anymore. He wants him to be okay because Marvin starts telling him, oh, you're gonna have to do all these chores now. So then Jeffy's like, oh shit, I gotta, you know, fix him somehow. So then they end up kind of fixing Marvin near the ending, but not really. He's like still in pain because he keeps taking the wrong medication because he wants to grow his dick. And it's just like, I don't know, it's a lot of Brooklyn guy yapping. It's a little bit of like Junior yapping too. Like, there's this whole bit near the later half where it's just Junior being like, oh, you embarrassed me, Cody. How could you do that? Like, that joke isn't funny. That part sucked. It dragged the video down a bit. It's a 6 out of 10. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I know I'm seeming more negative. Like, these are still pretty high scores, and you have to keep in mind this is still a big improvement over May, and I'll kind of talk about that in a minute when we, you know, finish this up. But it's like, these still aren't like amazing videos overall. Like, they're still painfully mid, some of them. But yeah, moving on. Alright, so now we have Junior's Assumption, not to be confused with Junior's Crazy Assumption, which I reviewed a few months ago. Very similar title, I know, he literally just removed Crazy, that's it. This is another Junior x Penelope video, just like Crazy Assumption, and it's basically a carbon copy of that video. Like, it's a little bit different, I'll give them that. It's one of the better Junior x Penelope videos. It's been a while since we've had one. It's okay. Like, I don't know, I was gonna review this one, but by the time it came out, it's like, there's only like one more video of the month to go anyway, so I was just gonna save it for the recap. So how do I feel about this video? it's fine. You know, it's a conflicting video for me because there's parts of it that I don't like, but then there's parts of it that I really like. Like, I love the whole idea of it just being a chill video where, you know, it's Junior, his friends, and Penelope just trying to hang out and watch a movie. Like, I think that's really fun, but then, you know, Junior kind of makes it a little more stressful, and that's the part I don't like, where he just keeps, you know, assuming Joseph wants to get with her because he had a dream, but then he's in a dream, and they keep kind of doing that over and over again throughout the whole video, where he keeps waking up. It's like, oh, she cheats on him, or oh, he kisses Cody or something. Well, that happens near the ending, but still, it's like he keeps waking up out of the dream, and it's just like, I don't know, it's stupid. It's really, really stupid. But on the other hand, like, it's really funny, and it's a pretty good Junior and Penelope video. But it's not perfect. It's not the best one. Definitely not. It's just kind of weird and repetitive. And as much as I like some of it, I also just don't like some of it either, and it drags it down. But I think overall, I can give this video a 7 just because I do enjoy most of it. But it's just like, yeah, it's not getting anything higher than a 7 from me. It's just a bit of a repetitive video. It's like, okay, we kind of get it. After the first couple times, you know what's going on, and they don't surprise you. They don't do anything else. They just give you that, and it's fine for what it is. So, yeah, moving on. All right, now for the last video of June, Jeffy's Deanon Ditch. A pretty weird way to end the month. Not necessarily awful, it's just not great either. This video is okay. It's just, I don't know, it's a little forgettable. Basically, the plot of it is that they just want to go Deanon Ditch houses, and then Jeffy gets involved. And then Brooklyn guy is eventually called because of the Hucker Dues, so they actually bring back the Hucker Dues after, like, I don't know, at least 2 months of not seeing them. It's been a really long time. And they don't really add much to the video like usual. The Hucker Dues suck. But anyways, they're there just to basically bring Brooklyn guy in the plot. And then the rest of the video isn't really about Deanon ditching as much anymore. It's basically just a story time animation and him yapping. You know, the usual Brooklyn guy taking over shit. It's not super bad in this video. Like, at least it kind of has a point. He basically warns them not to do this anymore because of, like, a witch that lives in their neighborhood or something that, you know, can make them itchy if they do it. And then they go and do it, you know, Junior and Jeffy do it because it's like, oh, you know, so Junior runs away. Jeffy keeps staying there, though, every time they Deanon ditch, so he stays there, and then the witch opens it up and gets mad at him. And then I kind of like the ending. I'll be honest, I do like the ending half where it's like, you know, Brooklyn guy keeps trying to, like, put magical spells on Jeffy to fix him, and then he eventually gives him crabs, which I thought was hilarious, and then he's like, oh, okay, now we can just fix him normally, but I don't know, that's fine. The rhyming gets old. I'm not gonna lie, all that rhyming stuff in the middle and near the ending just gets old. Like, I get it, wow, cool rhymes, but I don't, that doesn't add anything to a plot or humor for me. Like, it's kind of funny, I guess, but, like, they overdo the stupid rhyming in this video. It's a little too much for my liking. Overall, not terrible. I enjoyed some of it. I think I'm going to end it off with a 6.5, almost a 7. If it was just a little bit better, if they did maybe a couple more Deanon ditch scenes, I think that could have been a little more interesting. But overall, it's fine for what it is. A little bit mid, but yeah, it's an okay way to end the month. So yeah, that's June. June overall was a lot better than I thought. You know, some of it was mid, but nothing here is awful, which I think is something to really consider. Like, when you look back at April, May, even like March, you know, there's awful videos in those months. I'm talking like a fucking 0 out of 10, or like 2 out of 10, 4 out of 10, you know, and a lot of those. Maybe not tons of those, but at least a few, and that's pretty bad. Like, those months were rough. This month, though, it seemed way better. The plots here aren't all great, but for what we have, they're pretty cool. Like, you know, there's definitely some standout videos, and they didn't really have that in the other months. It was hard kind of finding really good videos besides maybe 1 or 2. Like, this month had a lot more. But it's just, you know, like I said, it's an improvement, but some of these videos are just straight up forgettable. Like the Father's Day heist, that's forgettable. This one, even Deanon Ditch, is a little bit forgettable. Like, I think it's better than being awful, right? Like, I don't want a month full of Cody stolen pennies. I rather have a month full of, like, you know, the Father's Day heist, right? Or some of the other ones in June that were a little more, like, whatever. because it is still an improvement. You know, these are videos that at least got a laugh out of me. I didn't hate them. I didn't even make any rants this month. Like, nothing here is just straight up dog shit. So I'm very proud of Logan for that. I'm hoping he, you know, will kind of continue with this trend a little bit. Maybe improve it, you know, slightly, like keep improving. Don't just like stay at like a 6 out of 10, you know, try to keep giving us some more bangers, because there were a couple banger videos. Like the 8s, you know, I gave were good videos. Junior Goes to Jupiter, pretty good video. It's just, I think he's kind of doing that same old Logan stuff where the jokes are a little too repetitive. You know, the Max Keeble's big move, the rhyming, you know, some of the other stuff. Like, it's just a little too much of that repetitive joke style, which I know he's always had that, but it affected June quite a bit. But really, like, there's not too many downsides. It was overall a pretty decent month for Logan, which I'm very glad to be saying that, because I haven't said that in a while. April and May both sucked ass and were really, like, disappointing. So this is at least an improvement. It's not perfect. It's not even amazing. It's not really good, but it's great. You know, it's okay. It's an okay month. You know, it's a good month overall. Just nothing special. So yeah, I think overall for June, I think I'm going to give it 6 out of 10. You know, that may seem kind of low, but I'd say that's still higher than my previous scores. Maybe not, honestly, but it should be. Yeah, I think it should be. At least a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10. It wasn't all bad. And there's some videos here that, you know, I could go back to, honestly, which is more than what April and May had. So, yeah, here's to hoping July will be a decent month again for Logan, maybe a little bit better, hopefully. And, yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this month. Like, subscribe, hit your boy up later. I'm sorry if this video seemed kind of whatever compared to my other recaps. I just haven't really been feeling like recording this, but I needed to get it done today. So, yeah, peace out and take care.